Hey, not glad to be with you, actually, under these circumstances. Just so you know, we'll be getting to everything regarding the assassination attempt, and that's what it was. That's, well, what it is on Donald Trump, President Trump, in a few moments, where we will be getting through everything that we need to kind of highlight what you need to know, claims versus truth. We'll provide all of the references. There is a lot of misinformation out there, unfortunately, and so we want this to be the definitive place where you can make sense of this. And all of this has to be based on truth, right? And I'm not going to both sides this thing today. That's not reality. The only equivalency that I see on both sides is people jumping onto this story for clickbait, regardless of accuracy. But I released a short video the day that this happened. It was immediately after the shooting, the assassination attempt had transpired. I've had time to sit and think and pray about this, and also see a lot of reactions from people. So a few things I'd like to say, and I think a lot of you are probably feeling, at least I hope so. I know everyone in my family and my community that I deeply value right now, they share it. And I don't know about you, but probably hugged my kids a little bit longer, kissed them a little bit harder. There's a reason for it. It's not just hyperbole. There's a reason that when these things happen, it draws you closer to the appreciation of the fragility of life. And the reason for that is because this is taking place. Someone was just a mere inch away from assuming room temperature, from being deceased, who should have the strongest security in the world. So it's natural. It's okay. I don't know if you've had a roller coaster of emotions, but we all have here. And a lot of people this weekend and today, I've seen them, and they'll continue to be calling for you to tone down your rhetoric, to bring down the temperature. I won't be doing that. I want to make that really clear. I won't be doing it because I know exactly why those in the media and those in Washington, D.C. are saying it. I know why they are demanding it. I know who it's coming from. And I also don't believe that you get to simmer and bring political violence to a boiling point, and when it backfires, publicity-wise, do the both sides thing. Now, it's important that what I'm about to say in no way be interpreted as a threat or any kind of call to physical violence, because it's not. And that's the only time I'm going to say it. So if people want to misconstrue what it is that I say here today, then fine, remove me for it. And I say this because I see people on both sides right now saying things that are simply untrue. Things like violence has never played a role in American politics, or one that I see a lot. This is unprecedented. We hear it a lot. Let me be clear. Political violence is not unprecedented. It is literally precedented in this country. You can use both precedents and precedent. It has come before. It has happened many times. And it's been set as a precedent, deliberately. Political violence is not unprecedented in this country. People who say that either don't know what they're talking about or they're lying to you. That's not the takeaway. What is unprecedented is the impeachment, prosecution, and false conviction of a political opponent in this country who has committed no actual crimes. What is unprecedented is, far beyond political disagreements, the goal to seek and destroy a political opponent, a human being, and his supporters, even after he's peacefully left office. That's actually unprecedented in this country. As far as political violence, again, you saw my disclaimer earlier. I don't believe that violence is never acceptable or is never the answer. I won't speak in those false equivalencies, those platitudes. I think the American Revolution was a good thing. I think ending slavery was a good thing. Those necessitated political violence. And let's be clear, too. When we have disagreements in this country, people say we can have respectful disagreements. If you're having a disagreement about abortion, you're talking about violence. You have a disagreement over the violence. If we have a disagreement over foreign policy as it relates to wars, you're having a disagreement over violence, over killing. It's all around us. Now, I do believe that political violence, of course, is a last resort and a tool only to be used against tyranny. I would argue a presidential candidate who wants less government and to recognize more of your individual rights certainly doesn't qualify, Charlie. And I hear this empty rhetoric demanding that Trump tone down, dial back the temperature. And I've heard this too. I heard it from the former Vice President Biden, that we stop viewing our political opponents as the enemy. We need to stop that. Kind of tough to ask that of people when you've told them that their political opposition are literal Nazis and white supremacists, don't you think? But I'm not going to call for that. I'm not going to call for you to stop viewing the leftists in this country as the quote-unquote enemy, plainly because I wouldn't believe in calling you to do that. I don't believe in that idea. I do believe that we have actual enemies within our ranks in this country. I really do. And I think more fruitful than empty rhetoric right now, I'd rather help you, all of us, be able to identify who those enemies actually are, because that's our only hope at actual civility. Not everyone's your friend, kumbaya, hold hands, we are the world. No. You can only have allies, and you can only protect your community and those you love if you understand the active threats, the enemy. It has to be based on truth. So, you know what? Let me be clear here. Let's first start by hopefully outlining who is not your enemy. It's not your neighbor. It's not your family members or other members of your community, the community you've chosen and hopefully take an active role in every day. Even those maybe who vote differently from you. Someone believes in higher taxes. They want longer government subsidized maternity leave or maybe some more social safety nets. They're not your enemy. They're wrong. They're not your enemy. Hell, I'd even self-identified socialists who are open about their beliefs, their disagreements with you, and who will engage in a form of ideas with you on an honest playing field. They're not your enemy. They're certainly wrong, in my opinion, but they're not your enemy. But the people out there who've been calling President Trump and people like you a Nazi or a white supremacist, they are the enemy. People who label you a fascist for being pro-life, they are the enemy. People who burned down cities and killed, murdered conservative Americans, fellow Americans at rallies, they are your enemy. The people who forced you to shut down your business, ruining your family's livelihood, never to be recovered again over a virus without you even having a say while claiming that they are doing it to save democracy, guess what? They are the enemy. And the people actively involved in shutting down, silencing political speech for protesting said lockdowns, they are the enemy. The ruling class who decided that rather than run on an even playing field to try and destroy a man's livelihood, his business, his legacy, and the remainder of President Trump's life. Because before they take his life, they try and take his name. That's what they do. Who's they? The progressive left. The hateful progressive left. Before your life is in danger, your name is what they take. People who do that, they are the enemy. Anyone who parroted the lie that Donald Trump praised neo-Nazis as very fine people for years, when the footage of him condemning white supremacy and neo-Nazis totally, it was available the entire time. People who parroted that line and haven't apologized, they are the enemy. The people who lied, who aided and abetted American citizens being locked up for years over January 6th, when a huge portion of them were glorified trespassers, all so that the people in charge could accuse President Trump of treason and leading an insurrection, they are the enemy. The people who accuse you of supporting trans genocide because, my God, you're against the government mandating that children be given permission to halt their puberty. They are the enemy. And you know what? Let me make this, let me put a finer point on this. I want you to take a second, okay? And in your heart of hearts, I mean this, ask yourself honestly, are you a racist? Are you a sexist? Do you hate women? Are you a transphobe, a xenophobe, a Nazi, a fascist, or a white supremacist? Are you? If the answer is genuinely no, and I assume that it is for most of you, then anyone who accuses you of the contrary, anyone who accuses you of any of those things is the enemy, especially if they do it publicly. Because let me tell you something. I've been in this industry for a very long time. The people making these accusations against President Trump, against you, they know it's not true. When they make those accusations publicly, they're not saying it for you. They're saying it for the audience. They're hoping that someone out there believes it's true about you, just as they hoped that enough people out there believed it about Donald Trump. Well, guess what? People finally did. This is what it gets you. And anyone who actively propels that forward, who accuses you of that, they don't get to ask you to dial down the temperature, to turn down your rhetoric, because they are the enemy. They make those accusations not because they believe it to be true, whether it's about you, at your office, at your PTA meeting, or President Trump. They make those accusations knowing that they are not true, hoping that someone else believes it is. And this violence that we see, this assassination attempt, is a long time coming. And by the way, it's not new. We've been surrounded by violence. I know there have been some people on the left, of course, who have faced it as well. But when it comes to the numbers, it's not even close. Some of you have a short memory. I don't know if you remember back in July, I believe it was 2016, 5 Dallas police officers were killed by a Black Lives Matter supporter. Either 2016 or 2017, I'll make the reference available. That shooter believed police were racist. Let me give you the names. Let's remember these names. Lauren Aarons, Michael Kroll, Michael Smith, Patrick Zamarripa, Brent Thompson, 5 officers, Dallas, Texas, killed because of the enemy in this country who accused, who tarred and feathered an entire profession of people as racist, genocidal maniacs. And someone believed it. Remember in June 2020, Summer of Love, David Dorn, say his name, David Dorn. He was a 77-year-old retired police captain. He was killed in St. Louis trying to stop a Black Lives Matter robbery. He also was a retired black officer. We showed the footage in the show. I believe it's one of 2 times that I've gotten misty-eyed. Someone believed the accusations against him being shouted by the enemy. In August 2020, you remember Aaron J. Danielson. This person was killed in Portland, was shot point blank. Remember that footage? We've got a Trump supporter here. Bang, bang, bang. Dead. Because in the person's mind, the shooter, whose name I will not give to you, the killer, we got a Trump supporter here, was equivalent to saying, we have a racist, Nazi, sexist, genocidal maniac here. Bang. They believed it. They believed the shouts and the echoes of the enemy. And yeah, thank God, and I mean this, thank Christ, that Donald Trump, President Trump, moved his head an inch. Sincerely. He's alive. But not everyone is. Comparator. That man was killed at the Trump rally. That man was killed shielding his wife and daughter from someone firing shots, not about the gun, from an evil person attempting to murder because that person believed what the enemy within this country was saying, not only about President Trump, but about the people at his rally. That is why Alyson Comperatore is dead. That's why his daughter, Alyson, doesn't have a dad. You don't get to say, tone down your rhetoric. The rhetoric is out there, and enough people have believed it. I want to read you, actually, what Alyson Comperatore wrote about her father. Facebook post. It's rare that someone writes it with this much poise and power, and that term is misused. She wrote, "Yesterday, time stopped, and when it started again, my family and I started living a real-life nightmare. What was supposed to be an exciting day that we had all looked forward to, especially my day, turned into the most traumatizing experiences someone could imagine. I know the media will cover this event, and I'm going to try my best to stay away from looking at everything, especially because I've already seen and lived through it in real time. But I want everyone to know what the media will not cover and will not say about him. He was the best dad a girl could ask for. My sister and I never needed for anything. You call, he would answer, and he would do whatever it is you needed. And if he didn't know how, he would figure out how. He could talk and make friends with anyone, which he was doing all day yesterday and loved every minute of it. He was a man of God, loved Jesus fiercely, and also looked after our church and our members as family. People will not tell you that he died a real-life hero. The media is not going to tell you how quickly he threw my mom and I to the ground. They are not going to tell you that he shielded my body from the bullets that came at us. He loved us enough to take a real bullet for us. And I want nothing more than to cry on him and tell him thank you. I want nothing more than to wake up and for this not to be reality for me and my family. We lost a selfless, loving husband, father, brother, uncle, son, and friend. And I will never stop thinking about him and mourning over him until the day that I die too. June 13th will forever be a day that changed my life. I will never be the same person I was less than 24 hours ago. There were a lot of children out there who say their dad is their hero, but my dad really is mine. I don't think I would be here today without him. Dad, I love you so much that there aren't enough words to express how deep that love goes. I know you'll give heaven some hell. I know God is proud of the man that came to his gates yesterday." I don't say that just to be sappy. I say it because we need to know these names of these people. And we need to know why these names now have an end date on their tombstone. And how many more would if the enemy, meaning the progressive left, who wants to label you a Nazi, had their way. And just to be clear, these people, the Comperatores, they have a GoFundMe. We're going to put that link up, GoFundMe campaign for the family. And just to help out, in case I know some people, your money is tight. Some of you are thinking about joining Mug Club going into the election. Right now, if you use the promo code HERO, you get $10 off. Mug Club, $89 annually, and every single dime goes to the family, the Comperatores, to their GoFundMe. At least for the next day of this broadcast. Use that promo code. You can join up and also support their GoFundMe. We hope that we can mail them a really big check, just like we did with David Dorn's family and Hurricane Harvey. It's one of those things where people act surprised. genuinely, were you surprised? I've been on an emotional roller coaster. Surprise was not a feeling amongst them. This is the natural progression of what we have seen from the left, from the enemy. You cannot tell people that a man is trying to assume a dictatorship role and remove your fundamental basic freedoms, that he wants to put you in camps, lock you up, and you cannot do that and then say, hey, let's tone this down. I was actually watching former Vice President Biden's speech, in which I don't believe he used the term assassination attempt, but I could be wrong. You can go and check the tape. And he was saying, I'm calling my friend Donald, and there's never a reason for this political violence. I sat there. I'm telling you, this is different from how it would have been. Take Obama, Romney. Take Barack Obama, McCain. Take George W. Bush, John Kerry, George Bush, Al Gore. If someone were to issue a statement like that in one of those races, you'd say, yeah, okay. In this case, I'm going, wait a second. You just called him a sucker and a liar and a criminal and a dictator. And that he wants to put black people back in chains, right? He wants to strip women of their rights. He wants to do away with the Constitution. You told people that this man was a convicted felon. By the way, clever move. Convict him of a felony that no one's actually been convicted of. Tell people that he's a criminal, that he's a danger, that he will end the country as we know it, and then say, but we need to dial down the temperature here. This should never happen. I talked about this the moment it happened. We used to have this ethical question, this quandary. If you could go back in time, would you kill baby Hitler? Now, the reason that it's an ethical dilemma is because, of course, you'd probably kill Hitler if you could go back in time and had a clear shot. But would you kill a baby? Juxtaposing the innocence of a baby at that point in time versus the evil that you know it will become, would you be able to kill baby Hitler? Here's why the question is not, if you could go back in time, would you kill adult Hitler? Because everyone would say yes. Every single person would say yes. Well, what do you think happens when you say that you've got new adult Hitler right now? And what do you think happens when you say that everyone who supports him or has a red baseball cap is also a Hitler supporter? You've removed the baby component. There is no ethical quandary. Would you kill Hitler? Yes. He's Hitler. People who say that, and people who've been parroting that for years, don't get to ask you to not be pissed. They don't get to tell you to stop fighting like hell. They don't get to tell you to dial down that temperature. I tell you what, I will change my rhetoric and I will retract that these people are the enemy of the American people. And I mean the Washington, D.C. entertainment industry, media industrial complex. The moment every single person who has come out and made those accusations say, I was wrong. Hey, he's not a racist. He's not a sexist. He's certainly not a fascist or a Nazi. And his voters and supporters aren't. We do not have a contingency of racism in the GOP, as we've been saying. No one wants to commit a transgenocide. That's not true. When they do that, then you can be asked to tone down your temperature. Otherwise, it's just like Hamas raping and kidnapping people on the 7th and then demanding a ceasefire. So I don't ask you to tone it down at all. I don't believe that this is a time where we all come together as a country. If you think this is irresponsible, if you think I'm wrong, that's fine. You can let me know. I think that this is a time to fight like hell. I think it's a time to recognize that this has been going on for a long time. Before they try and take your life, they take your name. They tried it, didn't work with President Trump. They're still doing it with other people. Many of you, and including yours truly, recognize what is happening before it reaches that point. And recognize the active threat and who is your actual enemy. If you, again, in your heart of hearts, know that you are not a racist, that you are not a sexist, that you are not a transgenocidist, that you are not a transphobe, insert whatever phobe or ist here. If you know that about yourself, and if you know that to be true about President Trump, or believe it to be true, but if you know it about yourself, anyone who you encounter who accuses you of being otherwise is your enemy. I hope I've been crystal clear. Now we'll get into the details. On with the show. You often hear that this is the most important election in our lifetime. You know, we had the election stream in 2016, 2020, the midterms. We were removed from YouTube, and it's fun. We get to share that with you. This is a little bit different.
This is big stuff.
Drink. We have a Nick DiPaolo YouTube dump artist.
Okay, and we all know YouTube. It's not me, it's YouTube.
Rick,
that wasn't a suggestion.
Hi, Steven.
Yes, we get to watch these debates, and we get to live fact check them. And it's something that we really love to do. But every now and then, you have to make corrections based on the world that you live in, especially as this is expanded, where Mug Club Undercover, right? We have a network now. Between now and November 2024, things are going to be changing here. Let me put it this way. There were some things that had taken place in the last election that we were not able to fact check effectively in real time. We weren't able to call BS in real time because we didn't have the tools available to us. No one did. That's one thing where you have to give them credit. Legacy media has kind of had a stranglehold on that. And that's what's going to be changing.
Joseph Biden.
Don't ever use the word smart with me.
And so for the first time as we go into this and we are going to be active, I want to lay out exactly what we plan on doing on election night 2024 and what we are going to be launching here tonight. We're going to have boots on the ground. We are building an infrastructure here to have people on the ground, to have journalists.
I know you won't put that on the air.
No, we will. You're on
now.
live right now.
We are going to have a map that you can check in real time. You'll be able to go in real time to this electoral map, and so you can see the coverage of what is going on. And you can drop a pin with something that you've seen. And then we are going to verify it, and whatever is verified as, of course, legitimate will be brought live to everyone here on air. And you will be able to take part on the night of to ensure that nothing happens in darkness. As the media tried to silence it, they have to silence you. They will be following your lead because you don't need them. And this is, without a doubt, the most important election of our lifetime.
It was just an above-average day at the White House when your favorite president was catching up on the news. When suddenly, oh, Mr. President, there's a deadly virus from China taking American lives. Oh, China, gross. This sounds like a job for Super Trump.
Oh, Super Trump! Oh no!
Bam.
Oh.
Pow.
No, arigato!
Boobs. But then the worst possible thing happened. Oh no, I've been infected with the deadly China virus from China. Gross. So the very strong, heroic Super Trump went to the hospital. Some even thought the China virus had defeated him. But on the third day, he rose from Walter Reed, and the China virus cried like a little infectious bitch. Oh, and the Cuomo brothers too. So Super Trump knocked them unconscious. Bravo! And threw them all the way to the planet Mars.
I'm slightly confused.
Super Trump!
Join Mug Club today for $89 annually or try it mugless for $9 a month. You can sign up at louderwithcredit.com/mugclub for the entire catalog, including Nick DiPaolo, Brian Callen, the Hodge Twins, Mr. Guns and Gear, and of course, Alex Jones, along with 100% more of this show. Oh, well, I already drank most of that. With the there's Toolman with the cold open. Oh, geez, it was like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Had a lot to say. Had a lot to get off my chest. And we'll be getting to everything else as far as the accuracy and reporting and what you need to know, what's true, what's not, how the shooting transpired, who's been involved. And we also have a guest. We actually have the Deputy Director of Communications for President Trump, Caroline Sunshine. Is Caroline? Someone let me know.
Looks like Caroline.
They're spelled the same way. So she's going to be on. She's been with the president since that has all taken place, but we'll have her on. And I think everything we need to know and who really is to blame here, because there's a lot that we don't know, and that won't stop people from telling you that they know and filling in the blanks. We're not going to do that. I'll let you know when something is my opinion today. Versus also, we have a new TriCaster, so I'm not used to the headphones. It's a little bit different.
Is it loud?
Well, it's a little loud, but it also could just be I haven't had headphones on in a while.
Oh, that's true.
So we are not going to be broadcasting tomorrow or Wednesday because we will be live with actually Captain Morgan from the RNC on Thursday evening. I know that people said we weren't really taking a break. We have an all-new TriCaster. We had to redo the whole studio and get ready and gear up so that there would be no flaws going into election because, as you well know, during the debate night, you overloaded the servers and it crashed, and that cannot happen again. So my question to you right now is, where were you when President Donald Trump was shot? Where were you? What did you feel? Who were you with? How did you explain it to your family? Curious. Let me sort of brief those because I understand that a lot of you don't live on social media or have time to comb through everything as we do here. And unfortunately, there's been a lot of information out there that is just patently false. So all the references today will be made available, link in the description, or go to louderwithcreditor.com. There's a tab there. I encourage you to do so. The more informed you are, the better off this country will be. Everything that we know thus far, let me recap it. Saturday, President Donald Trump was really inches from death when an assassination attempt, well, a failed assassination attempt, thank God, took place at his Pennsylvania rally. Here is the video of that. For those of you, if you have been living under a rock, honestly not under a rock, you'd have to be Encino Man to have not seen it, but for those who have not, here's the video.
If you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Moving his hair. Hold. When you're ready. On you. Ready. Move. Up. Move. Go. Up. Hawkeye's here. We ready?
Okay, we are watching live at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where former President Trump was speaking on the stage. There has been some kind of disturbance that clearly sets law enforcement and Secret Service into motion, immediately jumping around the former president in a protective mode. The crowd has been screaming. They are standing by. You can hear some voices there saying, "Are we ready to go? Are we ready to go?" We are looking at President Trump. This does not
that
look
moment
good. I'm going to be
when
honest
he was down
with
on
you,
the
from
ground.
what we can see right here, it looks like they are attempting to move him out, that he may have been injured.
He had to have a talk with himself.
He is holding up his arm. He is pumping his fist, but clearly Secret Service wants to get him out of this situation.
So that moment, first off, and this wasn't a joke when I commented on X. Some people are trying to say bullet dodging Don. Zoom. Bullet, ear. Found out what was going, kind of understood something was going on, didn't have all of the information. Crouched down, fist up, walked out. For contrast, picture former Vice President Joe Biden ducking. The man can't hinge at the hips. And I guarantee you when Donald Trump went down, and even if he wasn't severely injured, and thank God that it doesn't seem to be that severe, the shock sets in. And he had to have a talk with himself. no one would have faulted him for not getting up or being ushered off stage in a crouched position. No one would have. Most people would have done that. Guarantee you he had a conversation with himself. Get up. Get up. Show how you are different. That's where he won the election. We know two things. We know that Joe Biden will never be president of the United States after this coming in 2025. We know that. We don't know how the election transpires. We know he won't be president. He lost it at that debate when he said that he beat Medicare. And we know that Donald Trump is different. Everyone out there, even if you hate him, you know that the guy has a brass pair. And before leaving the stage, I think we have another angle here. He decided to not only get up, and he was then, of course, blamed for this from the left. The people who talk about victim blaming, he was blamed for being irresponsible when he pumped his fist and yelled, "Fight, fight." And of course, that led to this now iconic photo for those of you who have not seen it. There's your president. There is your president. Like it or not, I like it.
Yeah, it's a shot of the century right there.
Comment below. Muhammad Ali over, I don't know, was it Foreman or Frazier? I believe it was over Foreman. Rumble in the Jungle, like not even close. To Johnny Cash, the Grand Ole Opry, giving the finger, not even close to that. I don't think that he could have handled it better. I really don't. I don't think many people would have handled it that well at all. Certainly don't think that former Vice President Biden did. So who's to blame? Let's walk through this here. What happened with Secret Service, who the shooter is, what we know. Let's first go through who to blame. Of course, the shooter, always. The responsibility, the accountability, of course, starts and stops with the person who pulled the trigger. I wish we could just say that, but that's not the case. And you'll have people on the left say it's guns. And you'll have people on the left even say it's Trump. The assassination on President Trump, the assassination attempt on President Trump was actually his fault. Shouldn't have been wearing that skirt to the nightclub. So immediately, the media did their best to try and spin this and blame President Trump for his own attempted assassination.
Tim, you said you don't know which direction this goes. What could change it?
Donald Trump could change it. Donald Trump could emerge and say that enough is enough. If, on the other hand, it's once again a discussion of good versus evil, and if you're not on his side, you're evil, I fear more tension. I worry about more violence. So I believe
you fear it
in this moment.
Do you fear it?
It's Donald Trump.
I do want to say there was one thing that when I watched the tape, I found odd because of all of the heated rhetoric. And that is that after he was hit, former President Trump got up and said, "Fight, fight, fight." I think what we're hearing from people is that's not the message that we want to be sending right now. We want to tamp it down.
I believe the opposite of that. And I think most Americans do too. For reference, see the 20-point bump in popularity from every presidential assassination attempt. The message is not fight, fight, fight. The man was just shot. Now, to be clear, whether you agree or I don't care who it is. If someone just survived a shooting that was designed specifically for them, I don't care if he told your mothers to go fornicate themselves with a wire brush. I think he has a moment of grace because he was just shot. And you're mad that he said fight, fight, fight. You know, if he hadn't been shot, they have to pull it back a little bit because all this has backfired. They would have turned that into a moment just like, hey, you're not going to have a country. Fight like hell. You're not going to have a country anymore, even though he said make your voices heard peacefully and patriotically, right? They lied about that. They would have tried to do that with this, but they're like, oh, we can't because he got shot. He doesn't have the right to say fight, fight, fight. He has the right to say kill him. Crucify him, I say, nail him to that. I want to see him nailed to that roof. And everyone would say, yeah. Why? Because America. They are so beyond parody. And to continue, in that vein, former MSNBC anchor Mehdi Hasan added this. Someone just said on CNN that both sides need to tone down the rhetoric. Absurd. There is no democratic liberal equivalent to the nonstop incitement of violence from Trump, MTG, Gates, Kari Lake, others. The next few days of both sides BS is going to kill me. You know what, Hasan? We agree. We agree. The next few days of both sides BS, it's going to kill me too. If one of your crazed lunatics who believes what you say doesn't get to me first. There is no equivalency. You mentioned Marjorie Taylor Greene. You mentioned Kari Lake. Okay. How about former Vice President Biden himself? How about Kamala Harris? How about every single member of the DNC with a national platform or influence telling the American people that the greatest threat to democracy, the man who will end America as we know it, the man who is just like Hitler, who is a racist, sexist, homophobic bigot, who rapes women, all of these. Okay. How about there's no equivalent to those people? And you know what? I genuinely mean this. I was watching Biden before I get to the montage, which I do believe that our team here has put this together more effectively than anyone. It's going to be a long montage. I ask that you watch it. There is no doubt that the left has fomented this kind of hatred. Okay? No doubt. You can argue with me if you want. You're wrong. When I watch Joe Biden saying, hey, we don't need this kind of political violence, and he says he's trying to turn, you called him a criminal. You called him a racist, a sexist, a Nazi, Hitler. And I thought, hey, if there happened to be an assassination attempt on Joe Biden, God forbid, and I mean that, God forbid, and Donald Trump gave a speech, I thought if the shoe's on the other foot, if President Trump said, my friend Joe, and this is wrong, this is uncalled for, I thought, my God, you know what? He really would have more of a leg to stand on. Because Donald Trump said he would pardon members of the Biden family. If you look at his insults to Biden, he doesn't say he's Hitler. He doesn't say that he's evil and he's trying to shrink wrap your uterus. He doesn't say that about Biden. You know what he says? He says he doesn't know what he's doing. He says, I don't even think he knows what he said. He doesn't even know where he is right now. It's people around him. And President Donald Trump has certainly never vilified the people who vote for Joe Biden as Nazis and fascists. Donald Trump could say, hey, this is uncalled for. This is not something that I have ever wanted, advocated, or implied. And it actually would be far more authentic than former Vice President Joe Biden saying that. Comment below if you disagree. It was a blast of cold water in my face. I said, you know what, Donald Trump, I get it, can be a bombastic prick sometimes. He hasn't vilified his political opponent as a man worthy of death. And I say that because when you say a man is like Hitler, you are saying he is worthy of death. Plainly. The left has consistently, and this is a long montage here because I want you to remember just like the names of those victims, they have consistently, they have fervent, and passionately, and without end in sight, referred to President Trump as a dictator, a traitor, a threat to democracy, and yes, even Hitler.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
If reelected, he will be a dictator on day one.
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution.
And I will, quote, terminate the United States Constitution.
Authoritarianism and totalitarianism. A person who's telling them, I'm going to be a dictator.
Well, Hitler was duly elected. That's right. Right?
Autocracy and dictatorship.
the dehumanizing rhetoric of Adolf Hitler.
Who I got to vote for to keep Hitler out the White House.
There has never been an individual who is a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump.
He's an existential threat to democracy.
I own it all. I am a dictator.
Like acts committed by a dictator, or even says he will be one.
I mean, that is Nazi imagery.
So dictatorial, authoritarian tendencies.
He wants to build camps for millions of people.
He will be a dictator on day one.
The term vermin was really effectively used by Adolf Hitler and by Mussolini.
Things that we see happening today is a sort of a sleepwalking into dictatorship in the United States.
He wants to assert autocratic powers. They've just given him a license for dictatorship.
What he did today is straight out of a dictator's playbook.
It has historically been the province of dictators like Vladimir Putin, Benito Mussolini, Joseph Stalin, or Adolf Hitler.
He is behaving like a Hitler or Mussolini-style fascist dictator.
Donald Trump is a great threat to our democracy.
He could be violent, that he would connect himself to violent people, and that he figured he was above the law.
Donald Trump believes that he should be the ruler, the dictator of the United States of America.
Trump and the extreme MAGA Republicans quote a clear and present danger to our democracy.
So let me ask you this. If someone's a clear and present danger to our democracy, if someone who, if, God forbid, they are elected, is going to assume the role of dictator, and you follow that up by falsely convicting him, prosecuting him, ensuring that he's ineligible, destroy his life, try and take away his ability to make a living, and that doesn't work, what's the next logical sequence of events? You have to eliminate the threat. We won't have a democracy, which it's not, but let's assume someone is educated who's listening. We won't have a constitutional republic anymore if he's president. We've done everything we can. He's still standing. Make sure he's not standing. That's what happened. Someone said, make sure he's not standing, because the entire DNC party said, this man cannot be the last one standing. Don't act like this isn't the natural progression of events. Also, ironically, when Donald Trump held his fist up for all of this rhetoric regarding dictators, or regarding the fact that he would be a dictator, when he held up his fist after someone shot him, dictators across the country, across the globe, there aren't any in this country, collectively went, shit. Putin asked his staff if it was too late to run Facebook ads for Biden. Think they want to deal with that guy? Also, 5 days before this assassination attempt, Biden said this to donors on a call. According to Politico, I have one job. That's to beat Donald Trump. So we're done talking about the debate. It's time to put Trump in a bullseye. Now, to be fair, that in and of itself would be nothing. Kind of like when they tried to make a big deal with Sarah Palin saying target these districts to flip these seats. But it's not nothing when you just called him a fascist and the greatest threat to our republic. And you've accused that party of transgenocide. It's not. When you say it's time to put Trump in a bullseye, the person in a bullseye. At best, it's irresponsible. And let's be clear here in this country. We'll get to the Secret Service and the shooter here and what's going on there, but let's be really clear. The left has actively called and supported for violence. Since Trump entered the race, a little bit before that, really in my lifetime, but escalated it. Here's a refresher, okay? I talked about it earlier. You had 5 Dallas police officers. They were killed July 2016. January 2017, you had massive violent protests during Trump's inauguration. During 2017, I believe it was the summer, you had Steve Scalise shot, alleged Bernie Sanders supporter, at a baseball game practice. October 2018, huge violent protests during Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation hearings. And that's a really good one, too. That's a really good example. You know where there are violent protests? You know where there are people trying to murder Brett Kavanaugh? He was accused of gang rape. And we know it's not true. Christine Blasey Ford. Christine, don't remember. She's a footnote. Her story that she gave to her friends didn't match up with what she told her psychologist, didn't match up with what she told the press, and the police who investigated it noted that she was talking about a house that wasn't there and a floor plan that didn't even exist. And Brett Kavanaugh had a journal that was corroborated with all of the other entries that they could that made it pretty clear he wasn't there, let alone a gang rapist. Someone wanted to kill Brett Kavanaugh because your enemy, the left, accused him of gang rape. And to give you an idea, I told a joke on this show. And the joke was something to the effect of, this was brought to the attention of authorities who are still considering the distinct possibility that she is, quote unquote, a lying whore. Not my best joke, not my worst. That was more offensive than the lie of being a gang rapist. You accuse someone of being a gang rapist and then you say he's going to be in charge of women's rights? You think someone out there believes it? They know he's not a gang rapist. The left knew he wasn't a gang rapist. Blasey Ford knew he wasn't a gang rapist. But they're hoping that someone out there does. They're fucking hoping that someone out there does. And guess what? Enough people did. That's just October 2018. We're still going through this. May 2020, over 7,500 demonstrations. And you had hundreds of casualties of officers and civilians as it relates to these protests for George Floyd. The riots, the Black Lives Matter, city blocks were taken over. People were shot, killed. David Dorn was killed. I believe the man, it was, we just talked, it was either Portland, I believe, or Seattle. People were killed, billions of dollars in damages. And the left, meaning those in charge, there's no fringe left and fringe right. Find me one person in the summer of love 2020. Find me one person with a national platform and influence from your enemy, the people in charge of the DNC, who condemned the violence, the riots, and said they have to stop now. You won't. That's not fringe, sweetheart. But don't believe me. Believe your lying eyes and ears.
They asked me, would I like to debate this gentleman? And I said, no. I said, if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
That's it right there.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
When they go low, we kick them.
I'd like to punch him in the face.
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men.
I told Jeb Bush after that debate that I thought he should have punched him in the face.
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump.
Dressed to look like President Donald Trump gets stabbed to death. I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
The domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
You get out and you create a crowd, and you push back on them.
You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind.
The man arrested outside a Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh's home now faces attempted murder charges.
These are live images, folks, at the doors of the Supreme Court.
On the incident that left Senator Rand Paul with 6 broken ribs, this might be one of my favorite stories.
St. John's Church, known as the Church of the Presidents. It, too, was targeted.
66-year-old James T. Hodgkinson, who had opened fire on the players, apparently deliberately targeting the GOP. 6 people injured, including Congressman Steve Scalise. Suspect, now dead, had a long and public history of anti-Trump and anti-Republican rhetoric.
I think Trump has a great deal of responsibility here.
Now, just to be clear, I understand that some of that is art. I understand that not everything is to be taken literally. I get it. But when the left says that you are the people of violence and the party of violence, the numbers tell a very different, I don't want to say story, they provide a very different factual and historical account. It's not even close. It's not even close. Doesn't mean that both sides haven't committed some form of violence at some point in time. It's not even close. Let's go through the shooting again for people who have not been following this. We make all the references publicly available. Around 6:15 Eastern, there were the shots fired from a rooftop. Okay, there was a building rooftop. Donald Trump was at a rally. Looks like the rooftop was about 150 meters away from where President Trump was speaking. Here you go. Here's a clip that gives you kind of an audio analysis gauging that distance.
Take a look at what happened.
From what we know now was allegedly an AR-15, an AR-style rifle, and the shot pierced a piece, obviously, of his upper ear. Some people were trying to say that it was actually an injury from the teleprompter glass. That seems to be untrue. Some people are trying to say that the rooftop was 400 or 500 meters away. That appears to be untrue. Here's actually an image from the New York Times photographer Doug Mills. This is one that will probably live in history of the bullet seemingly whizzing by President Trump's head. That's where you think about the fragility of life, that we are basically giant walking bags of meat and neurons firing and electrical energy, and that switch can be turned off. And it's crazy to think that that bag of meat and energy can move people and impact the world. When you actually ever looked at a cadaver, you go, really? That's what it is? Yeah, because words matter. Ideas matter. That's what changes the world. That's why people try and stop it. Now, he wasn't seriously injured, President Trump, from what we know. But as I discussed earlier, I may have misspoken and said Casey. I know it's Corey Comperatore. Okay, Corey Comperatore. I want to make sure I have that name right. Was killed. Former chief of the Buffalo Township Fire Department. And like we said, you use a promo code HERO, every dime of Mug Club, if you sign up here. And the next day will go to their GoFundMe, the family's GoFundMe. For the daughter, the family. She wrote an incredible Facebook post. You can go back to the open if you're tuning in later. Because I know I don't want you to have to choose between the two, and we certainly don't want to be competitive, but we'll be sending a check to that GoFundMe. And this is a pretty powerful community. We are all bags of meat, but we can make a difference. Appreciate it. There were other victims as far as people who were shot. David Dutch was a 57-year-old Marine from New Kensington, Pennsylvania. And there's a man named James Copenhaver, a 74-year-old from Moon Township, Pennsylvania. So, of course, prayers for the family. And if you are in their local community, please do what you can to help them, see what they need. Because what are we fighting for preserving if that's not who we are? Doesn't mean everyone is in your community. You get to choose your community. But if these people are in your community, please do reach out and help them. Here's a clip, actually, of a doctor at the rally who described the scene in the crowd.
That's exactly where I heard him come from.
What did you see, sir?
I heard the shots. I thought it was firecrackers to begin with. Somebody over there was screaming, he's been shot, he's been shot. So I made my way over. I said, I'm an emergency department physician. Let me help you. The guy had spun around and was jammed between the benches. He had a headshot here. There was lots of blood, and he had brain matter. And so I got him. There's a helicopter coming in to get him. I got people there really helpful. I got
Was there only one person shot that you saw?
Then I did CPR, did chest compressions, as well as I breathed for him.
One person?
I was the only one who did it.
Now, this brings us to the security situation. And there has been a lot of speculation, and this is where I've seen the most misinformation. And like I said, there is not a moral equivalency between the left and the right on the hatred and the labeling of political opponents. The one place I see it is in clickbait, and I think we need to do better. I see it in headlines and unsubstantiated reports. And that's why we wanted to wait a little bit. Release a reaction is what I did when it happened. It was nothing more than my personal opinion and feelings, but wanted to wait until the information came in. There's a lot that we don't know, but there are some things that we do know. So if you feel as though you leave wanting because you're yearning for a theory that I can't validate, I'm not going to be doing that today. So here we have a video as it relates to the Secret Service eliminating the actual target, the shooter.
And that's a little bit old, that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that's said, take a look at what happened.
Now, there have been some reports that have been released out there, and just to be clear, we've tried to track them, and some of them are flat out fake. For example, people posting that I'm in the Secret Service, I tried to shoot the man on the roof, but it took me 3 minutes to get confirmation. That's not confirmed. That's likely someone who's just a LARPer. There are a lot of theories out there and a lot of information that is factually incorrect, but there are a lot of questions. Why did it take so long for the Secret Service to act? How did that shooter get on the roof in the first place? Why did no one do anything when the crowd of people were telling security for minutes that there was a man there, that he could shoot somebody, that it was suspicious? These things we know. Let me read this to you, according to Susan Crabtree at Real Clear Politics. She says, the Secret Service protocol requires that any counter-sniper aware of a potential shooter must radio directly to the intelligence division team to respond and investigate. In this case, the investigation may have been cut short by the shooter firing his weapon, so the counter-sniper then fired as quickly as possible in return. Okay. Here, a senior Secret Service member told NBC that the man who was on that rooftop, they already knew about it.
A senior Secret Service source familiar with the planning of yesterday's event tells NBC News that the roof where the shooter was located was a well-known, high-priority vulnerability. It was identified just the day before during a security walkthrough. We've also just learned that there were 2 counter-sniper teams on site and that the counter-sniper did not need approval to shoot. One source telling NBC News that prior protocols were not followed.
Okay? So it's hard to make sense of that, isn't it? It's almost like that's by design sometimes. Now, the reason this is important, I'm going to get to this in a second, with these next 2 clips I'm going to show you, is understanding that the Secret Service is directly under supervision, the authority of the DHS, former Vice President Joe Biden. By proxy, Mayorkas. Okay? I know I'm pulling a Jesse Ventura and saying, I'm just asking questions. But at this point, these are genuine questions because we don't have the answer. We do know that Secret Service answers to DHS. They also tried to strip Donald Trump of Secret Service protection in April. I'll get to that. But hopefully that provides some context as you watch this. There were many eyewitnesses who claimed, and then we'll be able to substantiate it, that they reported this threat on the roof 150 meters away prior to the shooting.
So we're standing there, we're pointing at the guy crawling up the roof.
And he had a gun, right?
He had a rifle.
A rifle.
We could clearly see him with a rifle. Absolutely. We're pointing at him. The police are down there running around on the ground. We're like, hey man, there's a guy on the roof with a rifle. And the police were like, huh, what? Like they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hey, right here on the roof, we can see him from right here. We see him. He's crawling.
As Trump started, I noticed 2 officers that were looking for something or somebody. I was looking around myself and seeing a guy on top of one of the buildings go in between one building to the next, and went and told the officer that he was up there. And when I went back to my spot, I heard that people could still see the person from where they were standing. So I checked that out, and I went back to tell the officer that if he came over there, he could see them.
I know some of you are going to say, well, those could just be people seeking fame, Monday morning quarterbacking it, after the fact. The guy looks like Heat Miser. Okay, be that as it may, and it may. we also have footage that would suggest that's true. It's not that these individuals are there, but there were many other people. There's a crowd of people noticing and pointing out the shooter and his rifle in real time.
He was doing the job. I wouldn't even be doing this. I'd be at some beautiful places according to the ocean, the Mediterranean.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there.
Where?
Right there. See him? He's laying down. See him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
And son, I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a Senate.
What's happening?
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look. There he is.
Easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people. Criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here.
Right on the roof.
It's much tougher than it happens.
You went right on the roof with that.
What I am not going to do is veer into the territory of conspiracy theories or saying that it's a setup or acting as though I am an expert and pointing out what would appear to be incompetence. What I can say is that this clearly could have been avoided. Is that unreasonable? Comment below. It seems to me that this clearly could have been handled better. And I'm going to get to the DEI component because it is a component and people are less safe when we implement DEI no matter what it is. So again, Marley was dead to begin with. Secret Service directly under Joe Biden in the DHS. There have been reports that there are requests for beefed up security out there. That has not been confirmed. We have not been able to confirm it. I don't want to bring you misinformation. But I can tell you that in April of this year, Democrat Benny Thompson introduced legislation designed to take the Secret Service, their protection, away from President Trump if he was convicted, which they, of course, knew was going to happen all along. Make up a crime, convict him, take away his protection.
The Washington Post headline screams, if Trump is convicted, Secret Service protection may be obstacle to imprisonment. I thank you for your legislation. I have been saying for some time that any former president or federal official who has this type of protection and some of the other benefits of being a former member of office, all of that should go away. All of it, all the privileges, all the briefings, all the access should go away until your status is cleared up in the criminal justice system.
Ah, there you go. Hey, why would the most controversial president of the United States need Secret Service? Nah, let's convict him for, what's the crime? Tax? Something? Stormy Daniels? I don't know. No more security detail. And as we relate to this, it's sort of this merging of different problems. So DEI was on complete full display when one of the security detail was caught failing to holster her weapon. Look at the purposeful nature of the men right there who are getting him in the car. Speaks, goes around the rear, not able to holster the weapon. One man gets in the car, other man closes the door, walks around to the front. These people here looking around, panicking. Who would you want protecting you? I won't go any further than that, but no surprise here that Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle is a big proponent of DEI.
To expand hiring, they're aiming to have 30% women recruits by 2030, and even allowed YouTube influencer Michelle Carre to train with agents.
But I'm very conscious, as I sit in this chair now, of making sure that we need to attract diverse candidates and ensure that we are developing and giving opportunities to everybody in our workforce, and particularly women.
Why? So, that's it. Why? Comment below. Why? Anyone out there an advocate? DEI? Need more women in secret? Why? And keep in mind that the Secret Service has been under investigation by House GOP members for a long time now. I don't know if you know the reason why. It started when one of Kamala Harris's Secret Service members suffered a mental breakdown. This comes from Real Clear Politics. James Comer referred in the letter to an incident in late April in which a female Secret Service agent tasked with protecting Harris was removed from her duties after suffering from an apparent mental lapse and physically attacking the commanding agent in charge and other agents trying to subdue her. Well, at least she had tits. It's not about the woman. It's not about being a black guy or being a trans person. It's about the fact that the only criteria that matters is not the only criteria being used. That's it. That's it. How capable are you at eliminating threats, at killing bad guys? How capable are you at protecting your client, your subject? Good guys. Now let's run them through some tests. That's it. Now this finally brings us to the shooter. The shooter is 20-year-old Thomas Crooks of Bethel Park, Pennsylvania. Looks like this person is from a middle-class neighborhood with parents, well-to-do. According to former classmates, Crooks was a shy person. Something that's just kind of interesting here, before we get to some of the claims that are being made that this person was a MAGA Republican, that's not true. Crooks actually at one time appeared in a BlackRock ad filmed at his Bethel Park High School. This is just interesting.
My name is Brian DeLallo. I teach AP and Honors Economics in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Financial well-being to me is knowing that I can be free to do the things that I love to do. I hope when I retire someday, they say, you know, that guy made this place a special place to come to school and gave as much as he could to help the community.
I'm not saying that BlackRock organized the attempted assassination against Donald Trump, just to be clear. So, I'm not.
It's just a coincidence.
I really, no, seriously, I'm not. It's just interesting. That's all. That's literally all it is. So here are some of the claims that you will hear from the media right now. All references available at louderwithcrowder.com. The claim, there's technically some truth to it, but not really. The shooter was a Republican.
The suspect, the individual, is registered as a Republican. Roger Sullenberger reports as well. If this New York Post report is accurate on name, age, and location, the shooter appears to be a registered Republican. The shooter also wearing a Demolition Ranch T-shirt. Demolition Ranch, a far right-wing Second Amendment group that advocates for unlimited use of weapons, AR-15 style weapons.
Okay, so here's the truth. Yeah, registered as a Republican, which, by the way, this is not something that costs you anything. But this person, Crooks, was a Democrat donor. Donated $15 to Act Blue, right? This progressive PAC. And let me give you some context here. When we have gone down to Antifa rallies or Mug Club Undercover, we dress like assholes. We put on the black mask and the thing, you know, you just say a couple things, you say, fascist, Nazi, and like, oh, they're really easy to trick. So we did it all the time, where if, you know, I had been, let's say, shot in Chaz, you'd probably find me with a Green Day shirt on and Hot Topic fake nails and a black mask. Doesn't mean that I was a member of Antifa. It would make sense that this person, what would they wear to blend in with a crowd at a Trump rally? Makes sense, doesn't it? Keep in mind, this person donated to Democrat causes. And then after that, in September 2021, Crooks did register as a Republican in Pennsylvania, a closed primary state. Now, this is why this is important. It was an active Democrat strategy to register as Republicans to vote in GOP primaries, which is required in closed primaries. This was an open strategy, and people have admitted to doing it multiple times on camera.
And why did you vote for Nikki Haley?
It's a vote against Trump.
Do you consider yourself generally independent, Republican, or Democrat?
Democrat.
I voted for Nikki Haley, and it was certainly a strategic vote. And while I wouldn't vote for her in a general election, a vote for Nikki Haley helps diminish Trump's influence in the RNC and their nomination.
All right, so I'm just making sure we get our guest coming on here. Yeah, there you go, registered Republican. All right. By the way, you can find me having given $1. I believe it was $1. Might be more than that. When we did the Change My Mind at the Democrat State Convention in Texas so we could get a booth.
That's right, yeah.
What was it? It was like World Human Fund, helping humans help the world. I don't know. It was complete total horseshit, but
something lame.
Got us a booth. So it's just one of those things. They're hoping that you're simple-minded, and of course, if you go to the Reddit, the Reddit cesspool, the gates of hell, people are going, "Oh, so this is all a fault of Donald Trump." All right. So they're actually right now trying to investigate the shooter's phone, the FBI. Keep in mind, the FBI are the same people who've been involved with getting to the bottom of the Hunter Biden laptop story, the Ashley Biden journal, and the Russia collusion hoax. And also, I believe they were involved. Was it the FBI who showed up for the raid at the classified documents at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago? By the way,
so, yeah.
Those charges, I believe, were just dismissed by the judge today, if I'm not mistaken. That just happened today.
Yeah.
The same FBI. So, yeah, forgive me, and I know you'll call me an extremist, if I don't have faith in the institution that is the FBI. You can comment below if you think that's an extremist point of view, but I hold it. Also, Mug Club Undercover, thanks to your support, they were there on the ground as soon as we could. They tried to get to the shooter's house, but it was completely blocked off. Here's just some footage so you can see what it looks like there on the ground.
Excuse me. What's going on?
I have no idea.
What? I can't go down the road?
Nope.
Why not?
Because I was told to close it.
What's that?
Because I was told to close it.
Okay. Are you Secret Service?
No, I'm not.
You're not.
You would quit photographing me.
Well, I'm allowed to, sir.
Well, you can move on, too.
I can, but I'm allowed to photograph.
You can get out of the way. I got traffic coming. You can go.
I'll go.
Now.
All right. Have a good one.
Apparently you can't see the house from here. I guess it's 3 houses down on the corner. But this is as far as media is allowed to get. Some local news here.
Also, by the way, today we're going to have Caroline Sunshine. It's Caroline, right? Yeah. Caroline. Caroline. Brian Regan has a great bit about that on in just a few minutes. But we will actually be selling a new Trump Fight Like Hell shirt right now at CrowderShop.com. And all of the proceeds will be sent directly to the Trump campaign. So today you join Mug Club, use the promo code HERO. All proceeds go to the family of Comperators, the man who was slain. And if you buy that shirt at CrowderShop.com, all of the proceeds go to the Trump campaign. You have my word. So here's where we are now. This game has changed. I don't want to say it's changed, but of course the media, the left, they've gone from desperately trying to play down the assassination attempt, right? So like Washington Post said, Trump escorted away after loud noises at rally. CNN said, Secret Service rushes Trump off stage after he falls at rally. Now, here's the thing. Neither one of those headlines is technically untrue. Trump was escorted away after loud noises. But I would say that there's a missing piece of relevant information for the same reason that that relevant information is missing from the CNN headline saying that Donald Trump was taken off stage after he falls. The loud noises and the reason he fell came from a bullet. So it's not untrue. This is why I always say, it's the lies that you don't, it's the omission. It's the omission that is most dangerous. Now, I know some people out there, they've been going back and forth on social media and the left is saying, well, they just heard it, then they corrected it. That's not an accident. I'm sorry, that is not an accident that was up there for as much time as it was in Washington Post scene. I don't have the actual the time lapses. I know it was at least half an hour at one of them, well after it was everywhere, that it was clearly a gunshot. And in his speech, hours afterward, former Vice President Joe Biden did not call it an assassination attempt.
We already have a nigger mayor. We don't need any more nigger big shots.
Sorry, right clip, but here's the more recent one.
Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. The bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea.
You mean just like Hitler's rallies, which you've compared him to?
It's just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it. Everybody.
Do you think there was an assassination attempt?
I don't know enough to. I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
Well, that would be responsible if the facts weren't available everywhere, widely. And I don't just mean social media conjecture. Now, of course, this has backfired in a huge way. Like I said, Joe Biden will never be president of the United States after this November. And President Trump is going to see a large bump. I think the people who weren't paying attention are going to be paying attention now. They're going to look to those in charge and say, who has actually escalated this temperature? So some huge voices now that would have never publicly, and I should say officially or openly, supported President Trump. Well, they've changed that. So Elon Musk put this out on X. I fully endorse President Trump and hope for his rapid recovery. Bill Ackman said, I'm going to formally endorse Donald Trump. 50 Cent actually brought out the Donald Trump meme during one of his shows as he was performing Many Men.
Many, 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 many men. Wish death upon me, Lord. I don't cry no more. Don't look to the sky no more. Have mercy on me.
Looks like a small venue. Quinn Ewers, University of Texas quarterback, uploaded this picture of Trump raising his fist. Sauce Gardner, the New York Jets player, uploaded a picture of Trump with the caption, "Ladies and gentlemen, President Donald Trump." Now, not everybody, though. And this is someone who obviously is known in leftist spheres and someone who, a lot of people on the right have debated. And the reason that this person has not been on this show is because I've always believed that this person was a wolf in sheep's clothing, would present themselves as someone who's willing to have a reasonable debate on issues and then try and pull a fast one. And then try and do something underhanded. To me, I don't care. If you're a dick, if you're bombastic, if you're confrontational, fine, just be that way. We always let everyone know, Toolman, if we have someone on the show, it'll be adversarial. We say, we're going to let you know this is where I disagree. We do not sandbag. Be left, be right, just be honest about it. Be moderate. Be civil, or be as confrontational, as inflammatory, but just be honest about it. This person, I believe, for a long time is not, from what I've seen, and I haven't seen that much. I've seen what I need to now. Destiny, the internet debater, went on this rant on X saying, I'm honestly conflicted on how I feel about the shooting, but I will chat about it on the stream tomorrow. Then followed up with, let me clarify. When I say conflicted, what I mean is that I lean towards seeing it as a natural extension of the thing Trump and the MAGA kids support. So I don't think I have much sympathy about the attempt enough to chastise people celebrating it. He then went on to actually shame Corey Comperatore, the man who was shot, killed, father, writing, a person in a crowd cheering for and supporting a traitor to this country caught astray. I'm so sad. Please. Now, I know you could say that's out of context. Well, here's a clip of him addressing that as well on the stream.
Sure. I've already given you the honest answer. You just don't like it. The honest answer is I have no sympathy. I think it's kind of funny. Yes, that's my answer. You can try to ask that like 20 different times, but that's my answer. My position is so simple. And unlike you guys, I actually own it. So I don't know why you guys keep misquoting my position. It's so simple. If you support an insurrectionist and happens to you, I don't really give a And if the way you die is funny, I'm going to laugh at it. That's my position. It's very simple.
Here's the thing. I wouldn't disagree if the premises were true. You support an insurrectionist. He wasn't an insurrectionist. See what I'm talking about? These people are the enemy when they accuse you of being an insurrectionist because you want, I don't know, a recount. Then they can justify the unjustifiable. Oh, a guy who supported an insurrectionist caught a stray bullet? First off, we don't know if it was a stray bullet. We don't know if this person wanted to kill as many people as possible. We don't know that at this point in time. We do know that Donald Trump was not an insurrectionist, and he peacefully left office and asked for people to have their voices be heard peacefully and patriotically. It's like saying, you support a Nazi, you support a white supremacist. Hold on a second. He condemned neo-Nazis and white supremacists in Charlottesville. He said who should be condemned totally. But if you start off with a false premise, then you justify violence against the innocent. I would agree that if someone led a violent insurrection, like you see in South America, like you see in many other countries, you see across the globe, against this country, if that person had active violent supporters, I probably wouldn't feel bad for them if they were shot because they chose to live a life of violence. They chose to go a path of violence. We have the most armed populace in the world, and the insurrection is people who are trespassing, many people who were invited in. So you take January 6th, you attribute that to Donald Trump, who asked people to make their voices heard peacefully and patriotically, and you take that, you make it sound as though these people are violent insurrectionists, and you justify a man, a firefighter, you justify a daughter without a dad? And by the way, I wouldn't even be upset if there's a joke about it. Nothing's off limits as long as you make it funny, but this is not. This is an opinion that, yeah, I don't feel bad. Who needs to turn down the temperature? And when this person says they're meeting with people from across the aisle and they're going to have these civil discussions, no. Because that's not who you are. That's the issue. That's the issue. It's the dishonesty. We're never going to find common ground on a lie. You can go watch this, go watch it in all of its context and see what you think. But like we said here, use the promo code HERO and 100% of the proceeds today will go to the Comperatore family and $10 off the membership. It's what we can do. We appreciate you as a community, and I believe that we have our guest here live. We really appreciate her taking the time. She is C Sunshine on X, and it's her real name, Caroline Sunshine, Deputy Director of Communications for President Trump. Let's bring her on. Caroline, how are you?
I am better than Joe Biden outside the hours of 10 and 4 p.m. Thank you. How are you?
Yes, I can imagine. Okay, that's a good starting. That's a good starting line. And of course, sunshine. You get all the sunshine jokes, I'm sure. Whether they're walking on it, it's like staring into the sun, right?
No, this would be
the first time. I'm very proud of myself.
Yeah.
I appreciate that you're in good spirits as a happy warrior. Let me ask you this. How is, since you're in close proximity with him all the time, how is President Trump doing? And how are you doing?
Thank you for asking. President Trump is in high spirits, and that's why I'm in high spirits. That's why our whole team is in high spirits. What happened? The only thing more remarkable than President Trump surviving the assassination attempt on his life is his act of strength in the seconds that followed, where you watched President Trump with blood on his face jump to his feet in the midst of grave danger and say, fight, fight, fight. And I had someone ask me earlier if we were heartbroken when watching what happened. Yes. But those 3 seconds of President Trump jumping to his feet and saying, fight, 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 it just lifts your spirits in a way that I'm very genuine when I say our team is in such high spirits because of President Trump's leadership, as is, I think, all of our delegates who are here at the convention this week. I mean, when something like that happens, somebody's true character is going to be revealed. Like, that's all instinct, right? Like, when a moment like that is happening, that is just somebody's instinct kicking in. And President Trump's instinct is he's a fighter. That's who he's always been. That's who he always will be. Fight, fight, fight. He's fighting hard. That's what we're here to do too. And people lead from the front, and true leaders lead from the front. That's how President Trump leads. So we're ready to keep fighting.
Well,
yeah.
I don't want to disagree, but I disagree slightly in the sense that, yes, it's his instinct, but I also would give President Trump credit. He did have a decision to make because no one would blame him for staying down or being ushered out. And yes, his instinct is to fight, but he proactively had to get up, make the decision that this is how people are going to see this event, and they need a rallying point. It could have been a very defeating moment. And so, yes, instinct, but he also made some difficult decisions that a lot of other people wouldn't have. And that's what inspired. That was very inspiring to me to see him do that.
Yeah, that's just who this man is. That's just who this man is at his core. Some people are just cut different. I think leadership, I don't know what you think about this, but I think leadership isn't something you can teach in a lot of ways, right? You can't read a book on that. I think some people are just these natural born leaders. And yeah, President Trump is just a man who is cut differently. I call him the great American fighter.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean, like, let's be very clear. It was an assassination attempt on President Trump's life. We were millimeters away from you and I not having this conversation today.
Yeah.
And like you said, the images that the American people have seen, there's certain images that are like stuck in the American psyche forever, right? You think of like the flag being raised over Iwo Jima, like there are just these American images. The images that came out after those first few seconds could have been horrific.
Mm-hmm.
At worst. At best, they could have been demoralizing to the American people. And you just look at fight, fight, fight.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different tone. But that's, again, where I say it's just your true character. That's just who President Trump is. And at his worst moment, he brought his best. The other thing, too, I don't know if you saw with the crowd, understandably so, when you're hearing those bullets go off, right? People are panicking. They're scared. They're like, it's disarray, right? The second President Trump stands up, gets to his feet, saying, fight, 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 the crowd, like, they became hopeful, right?
Yeah.
Like, you watch, like, he gave that to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a leader, you know?
Let me ask you this. Were you surprised? Were people there at the team surprised? Or when it happened, did you go, crap, we hoped this wouldn't happen, but we always thought it was in the cards, considering the escalating rhetoric recently?
I don't think it's any secret to the American people that you look at the division in this country and you also look at what President Trump has endured since he came down the escalator in 2015. He is the only president within under a year span, I might add, who has a unjust mugshot, might I add, and an assassination attempt on his life, all within the span of a year. He's the only U.S. president to have that. So I don't think the American people were shocked. And as President Trump has said, coming out of this moment, what the country needs right now is unity. They're not going to get that from the Democrat Party. That party can barely unify itself. Right. That's not who they're going to be looking to unify the country. I've been really inspired by seeing, did you see this on X? I think Elon Musk posted about it. But a woman named Stephanie said, like, I was a gender studies major in 2012. I cried when Trump won the election in 2016. I was going to sit this election out. There was something about watching Donald Trump get to his feet, have a Braveheart moment that just stirred this raw patriotism in me, and I'm voting for this guy.
Yeah. Well, I think people saw the actions. I mean, I compare it, obviously, to Cory Booker, who said, the closest I had to my Spartacus moment, which, by the way, I don't even think he's watched Spartacus, because then when he went on to use it as an example, was not comparable to Spartacus. It wasn't even a good analogy. But, Donald Trump he lived out an actual Braveheart moment. Screaming freedom, he yelled, fight, fight, fight. I get it. People will say, oh, it just grazed his ear. You don't know at that moment in time, and the shock sets in. He lived it. He acted it. The left loves to talk about it and to sort of venerate themselves. I wasn't surprised, and that made me really sad, because we've talked about it on this show, and I've said this is where this is headed. You cannot paint someone as literally Hitler and then be surprised when someone says, oh my gosh, I got to take out Hitler.
I thought First Lady Melania Trump's words were very poignant. I think the liberal mainstream media doesn't give her enough credit for being as eloquent as she is. But she was, of course, speaking as a wife, and she said, these people don't see my husband as a human. They don't see him as he's funny, he's ingenious, he loves music, he's inspiring. They've lost his humanity.
Yep.
And I think that's exactly what's been going on, like I said, ever since President Trump came down that escalator in 2015. Look, President Trump has chosen a tough fight. Like I said, he's a fighter to his core. He picked a tough fight when he came down that escalator in 2015. he decided to fight on behalf of the forgotten men and women of America. That's a tough fight to pick against the swamp in Washington, D.C. And he has picked that fight every single day for almost the last decade. And he has been that man in the arena. And that's where I say you're just hearing my spirits and the spirits of our team be high and ready to fight and ready to support President Trump, because we're so proud that we get to work for the man in the arena. We wouldn't want to work for anybody else.
Yeah, that's very well put. And they did try, and before they did this, I've talked about this, before they try and take his life, they try and take his name. That's what they do, right? They try and take your name first. You are insert racist, sexist, homophobe, abuser of women, transgenocidal, whatever it is. Whatever. They did the same. We were just talking about this Brett Kavanaugh. The man was accused of gang rape. It doesn't get more evil than that. We know verifiably it is completely untrue. They try and take your name first. And I'm incredibly grateful that he did survive, obviously, this physical attempt on his life. And I hope that his legacy cements the return of his name for people who haven't actually been paying attention. Because I do think it has for a lot of people, but there are still some people who have been kept in the dark by design with the media. And speaking of which, I guess, restoring his name to the uninitiated, this morning, this is something I wanted to get your opinion on this or hear what it was you had to say. Federal judge tossed out the classified documents case against Donald Trump. I'm reading a quote from Judge Alyson Comperatore, ruled that the appointment of Jack Smith was unconstitutional. They said the specials counsel, the position effectively usurps that important legislative authority, transferring it to a head of department and in the process threatening the structural liberty inherent in the separation of powers. That's a pretty big deal. What has the tone been like there with you guys on this one?
It's a great day for the rule of law. It's a bad day for lawfare. And as President Trump said when that Supreme Court presidential immunity ruling came out, great day to be American, proud to be American, great day for our Constitution, great day for our democracy. I mean, we happen to think that the way our government was designed back in 1776 works when it's not being weaponized and abused against a political opponent. So this is yet another victory, yes, for President Trump, for our movement, but also for the rule of law. President Trump has always maintained his innocence. All of these cases from the get-go were shams. We knew it then. We know it now. And also, by the way, the American people don't want the courts to decide their elections for them. They would like to do that themselves. And the Constitution says that they get to do that themselves. So this is also a victory for the American people, another victory for the American people. All of these cases, you just see them domino effect, kind of like President Trump after that amazing debate performance where it was like Joe Biden, the Democrat Party, the liberal mainstream media just collapsing on themselves. That's what he does, as I said, great American fighter. But
also, he actually physically collapses on himself all the time, but that's neither here nor there.
I thought we weren't being funny today. No.
Oh, I apologize. I can't help myself.
But yes, truly, like this is a wonderful, like I said, this is a great day for the rule of law. It's a bad day for lawfare, and President Trump is innocent. And like I said, the American people don't want courts deciding their elections for them. We, the people, think we should do that for ourselves, and we will do that for ourselves. That's
very important, especially when you look at places like Michigan that have made it more difficult simply to actually have recounts. It is scary what some states are doing. Let me ask you this before, I know you're busy. You're there at the RNC. We have Captain Morgan, Gerald Morgan, CEO here, and Pops Crowder on the ground. I'm sure you'll see them around. We're doing a big live stream on Thursday night. Do you know who the VP choice is, Caroline? You know who the VP choice is, don't you?
Okay, so Steven, since it's just me and you.
Yeah, I know. You're not going to tell me, but
I'll just say really quick. No, I'm totally kidding.
I knew it. It's Burgum.
Of course, I would tell you the only person who knows who President Donald J. Trump will pick as his vice president is Donald J. Trump, as well as when he will announce. So I guess you're just going to have to tune in.
I know, but
maybe
I think
I'll tell your dad. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Well, everyone tells my dad everything. I don't know why. By the way, he's not a therapist. That guy talks. That's not a lockbox. I just thought he might be flippant with you, like, it's J.D. Vance. What makes a difference? People have fight, and maybe you wouldn't know. But what do you think we can expect from President Trump there at the RNC for people on the outside? Because obviously, it's very different now from how it was. My people there on the ground say that it's basically like a steel cage. It is not normal security.
Yeah, we're really grateful to the men and women of the Secret Service for keeping President Trump safe and for keeping everybody attending our convention safe. This is an exciting, hopeful, joyous place to be. As I said, spirits are high. We're very grateful that we have tremendous men and women helping keep us safe. I think something about President Trump that I have always loved, and I think a lot of people love, is what you see is what you get, right? He's always been like, what you see is what you get. And so the same guy that you saw on that debate stage, the same guy you saw survive an assassination attempt on his life and get up to his feet and yell, fight, 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 that's the President Trump you're going to see at this convention. What you see is what you get. He is a fighter to his core. I love this. He was really involved in drafting the new RNC platform. It's short, it's 20 principles, it's concise, it's designed to be digestible for people. But at the top of that platform, it says dedicated to the forgotten men and women of America. As I said, that's who President Trump has fought for ever since he came down the escalator. But that's who he's here for. Like, we talk about having a why, right? Like, why are you here and who are you here for? And that's who he's here for. He's here for the forgotten men and women of America. He's here to be their voice. He's here to make them feel seen and heard. It's about them, it's about them. And so that's what he's here to do. And like I said, the same Donald Trump that you just saw survive and fight is the same Donald Trump that we couldn't be prouder to have on our stage and with us all week long.
Does he have a Band-Aid on the ear? Is he going to have some makeup? Is he going to pull like a Nelly where he puts like the Band-Aid as a style statement?
He's such a raw fighter. Like, I think he's just gonna show up. Right? Like, he doesn't even need a Band-Aid.
Look at it! Look at what you did!
Chick stick scars.
Gonna pull out his leg. This one, I got it from a thresher shark. All right. Thank you. I know that you are busy and you are going to be there all week. I can't imagine how hectic this is going to be for you. I know you are C Sunshine on X. People will go to follow you and support you. Hey, Caroline, thank you so much for taking the time. And obviously, I know they're keeping you safe, but keep your head in a swivel.
Got it. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right. Be well. It's been Caroline Sunshine, everybody. All right. I think it's a rule that you have to be younger and pretty to be a public face for the Trump.
Yeah. 100%.
You think they bring him like, hey, we have your new communications director. He's like, gross! They're like, all right, how about this? Nailed it. Nice. You got to say something, Noodles?
I was just going to say that research sent in kind of a disappointing video of a celebrity that I think you're not going to like as much as I don't like it, but they wanted me to try and toss it in before we went to Mug Club. Up to you if you want.
Okay. Well, Mug Club, by the way, today we are going to be taking your chats. This is just a day, obviously, a day we will remember forever, or certainly Saturday, and I'll be talking with you for quite a bit, so don't expect another highly produced segment, but I want to hear from you. And again, it's $10 off if you enter in the promo code HERO, and the Comperatore family. They'll receive 100%. 100% of the proceeds today. Today, it's really not about us, and I know that some of you are strapped for cash, so it's a way where you kind of get a 2-for-1. So we'll be doing that. You can just click that button right there if you're watching on Rumble. I know we're multi-streaming right now today to YouTube, to X, to Rumble, because we wanted to make sure that that everyone was in on this conversation. It's one of those days. What is this clip, Noodles, and why am I going to dislike it? It's not George Clooney, is it?
No, but related. So I'll just play it and you can see.
Okay. Oh no, Jack Black.
Don't miss Trump next time.
Was it him or was it Kyle Gass with him?
It sounded like Kyle was the one actually.
It sounded like Kyle said it. All right. One of the most talented men in show business, Jack Black. He's unbelievable. But hey, imagine we all know what would happen if we said that about. I mean, I hope next time they lock Hillary up.
There's still time.
Yeah, there's still time. Jack Black, how disappointing is that? Yeah. Guy, he's very talented, but he doesn't know anything about politics. If you were to ask him, like, Betty, I don't fucking know. I just know that, like, Donald Trump's, I've heard, right, dude, I've heard that he's like a Nazi, and I've heard that he hates women, man! He wants to take their fucking uterus and throw it to the sky! What?
His agent told him that.
His agent told him to say that. That's a lot of these people, but I will tell you this. Assassination attempt, people who haven't been paying attention, you do have a window where they go, okay, what's going on? People who are completely disengaged, Engage for a little bit. Make it count. Make it count. And just know that as people start engaging, the left will do exactly what they have done. Tone down the rhetoric. Why? Because they still want to vilify you. You are the one in the crosshairs. They've put a bullseye on you. They've put a bullseye on President Donald Trump. That also means there's a spotlight. There's a spotlight right now. The idea that you don't discuss religion and politics, the good news here, the silver lining, is that goes out the window when the leader of the free world, or the will-be leader of the free world, depending on how you view it, is almost snuffed. Goes out the window. It's time for you to have these conversations with everybody. Guess what? You have a conversation with 5, 10 people. They have a conversation. That can change your swing state. That can change the landscape of this country. And they can't help themselves. I'm going to tell you this. They are still going to label you an extremist, a Nazi, insert whatever Z-phobe-ist right here. Deal with it in the light while there is a target on you, because people will allow you the chance to speak. If only because they have to feign concern since they know that you're a Trump voter and they can't be a dick for like a 48-hour period. I don't know what the official window is, but I know that people kind of pull themselves back just a little bit. Have those conversations, have them right now, and make sure that people know this is not some fluke. This is not some random instance of violence. That this is a continued pattern of behavior. Recognize who your enemies are and who your enemies are not. Anyone, I will leave you with this, and you can click that button. Join. I'll be talking with you on Mug Club. Appreciate the support. Everyone here is at the RNC. We'll be streaming Thursday night. I don't know the time because they haven't announced it yet, but it's going to be a mega live stream. We'll have Nick DiPaolo here, drinking game rules, people on the ground, interviews, reporters down there getting the scoops. Ask yourself, and I really do think that it's the litmus test. I think it's perfect. I don't mean to pat myself on the back, because it includes all the components that matter. It includes self-reflection. It includes honesty. It includes authenticity. It includes accurately assessing the current threat and what the problems are. Ask yourself first, are you a race? Do you hate black people? Do you hate women? Do you hate LGBTQ, whatever? Do you hate public school teacher, whatever it is? Do you, in your heart of heart, actually hate? Are you a racist, a sexist, a xenophobe, transphobe? If the answer is no, anyone who accuses you otherwise is your enemy. They are the enemy of a free American people. And I make no apologies in identifying them that way. YouTube, if you're still there, well, Rumble, thank you. X today, I guess, thank that we've still been streaming there. It's kind of we were testing it out.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Mug Club and take your chats. YouTube, piss off.
Ugh!